Hello everybody, welcome back to the Gear 426 channel. Today is the day that we are doing the first test fit of the Hemi into the Dakota. Let's see how it goes. So as you can see, I already have the other engine out. It is actually sitting over there, still puking up some of its guts. I removed that in the last video, if you haven't seen it. Corner. I have already cleaned up a decent amount of this. I probably need to go over this probably one or two more times with some degreaser, whatever. I'm doing my best. Already cleaned up all that and whatnot. I've already seen some things that I could change, like right here with the vacuum line. I'm thinking about drilling a hole right here in the cowl, putting it a grommet, and then running it all the way over here where the vacuum reserve is and getting rid of all of this. And we don't need this anymore because that was for the cruise control, which was vacuum actuated, and it is no longer on this vehicle. We no longer need it because that cruise control is electronically controlled, not vacuum actuated. We'll get to all that crap later. First, let's go ahead and talk about this guy. So as you can see, I already got everything hooked back up, got the starter on it. I have my modified bracket on it. Whatever. This is a different transmission shifter mount. This is off of a 545 RFE in a Dakota, and same thing for this piece here. It is also from a Dakota. Same transmission, just the brackets are a little bit different, so that we could go ahead and use a stock shifter cable that came with the Dakota for the 545 RFE. And we have all of these parts. This is part of Holley's swap kit. You can go over to holley.com and pick up all of these parts. Here's our cross member, our frame plates, along with our transmission adapter plate and our motor mounts, which we will bolt up onto this guy whenever I get it into some better light. Pretty high quality kit. I painted all of mine black. I bought the ones that were unpainted because it was cheaper. And you know, $10 can of this stuff right here should do it just fine. No one's ever gonna see the stuff, so I really don't care about it looking pretty. I just don't want it to rust, and also help with it not rusting, I put a little bit of OSPO on everything, which if you guys don't know about OSPO, please look the stuff up. It is amazing. It will chemically change the compound of the rust, completely stop it, and you could paint right over the stuff. It even says it on the bottle. It is a primer. It's actually considered a metal treatment. The stuff's awesome. I use it all the time. I also finally got a plug for the oil pan. This is a 5/8 by 18 thread. It's a 5/16 Allen. Fits in there perfectly. You're gonna go ahead and put that guy in. Now, some issues that I may have, and these don't really make too much sense to me. So according to the directions that came with this kit, apparently this transmission, the 545 RFE, even though it came stock in these trucks when it was equipped with the 4.7 and 3.7, apparently some transmission tunnel massaging will be needed, or may be needed, to fit this transmission in here. And apparently a custom length drive shaft will be needed, which, okay, this doesn't make any sense to me because this transmission uses the same slip yoke as the 42RE. The drive shafts in all of these trucks are the exact same regardless of what engine and transmission are in them. So if Holley did all of this right, it will be very close to the stock location, like within like half of an inch. So the stock drive shaft should work. So we're testing that today, and I'm hoping we don't have to massage anything. But I already marked it underneath there where the tail housing should be. And on the drive shaft, I mean, it's old, so it's kind of got it marked on the seals where it's supposed to lay. If it's within like a quarter to half of an inch, I think we'll be perfectly fine and we won't have any issues. But if it's shoved too far in, that could be a problem. And if it's pulled too far out, that could be a problem. We're just gonna have to install it and see what happens. Before I install those two mounts, I'm gonna go underneath the truck and install these. These guys are pretty simple. They are literally marked P and D, and in the truck, the letters are gonna be facing up like this on the frame rails. And they say that you need to use the OEM hardware that came off of the old cross members. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these real quick, and then we will move the engine into some better light, install those, and then hopefully slap it in. Using the supplied hardware from the kit, the driver's side mount goes this way, so the short end faces forward. As far as torque specs go, just make sure it's gluten tight. Now it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect because this is just the first test fit. Whenever we pull it back out, I'm gonna make sure everything is super tight and we'll all be good to go. According to the directions, or the pictures at least, because they didn't really specify this, put the provided hardware that comes with it in this way, with the bolt coming in from the rear and the nut on the front side. There we go. Now let's go ahead and spin the motor around, get the other side. Let's go ahead and stick this plug in before I forget. Go ahead and give it a nice healthy amount of Loctite just to help prevent any leaks from happening. Probably way too much, but I don't want leaks. Now I will say, this is kind of cool, because let's just say in the future, I really don't want to do this, I want to go a different route later on, but if I ever wanted to do a turbo, I could use that as a turbo drain. Pretty convenient. The reason why this is here though, is this is actually for a Ford style dipstick, which I'm not putting on this motor because the OEM one works just fine. That's done. Let's go ahead and put this mount on. Now this one can only fit one way and it'll be very obvious to you really quickly, because if you try to put it on this way, the knock sensor gets in the way. It only goes this way, and I need to go get the hardware for it. Now the only other thing that's left is the transmission adapter bracket plate mount thing. There are many different ones that you could get. This one is for the 545 RFE, along with the RE and RH family of transmissions, and I don't think it will work with the 727, but it is among those. It does not work with the NAG one or the 8HP. I do also recommend, if you have a 545 RFE and you're installing it, do not use the hardware that they gave you. The hardware that they gave you works for like a 42 RE or RH, like any of those lines of transmissions. This is a different hardware. Just use the OEM stuff. And right here at the very rear, they give you this 1/4 inch spacer. You're gonna put that in between the plate and the transmission. On the RE and RH transmissions, you want to use the rearward holes. On the RFE, you want to use the frontward holes with the supplied mount. This is a Chevy transmission mount, which is great because then, you know, you could get them anywhere. All right, our engine and transmission are now ready along with the truck. We still have the cross member out, but that's because all of this has to go in first. But we are now ready to slap it in for our first test fit. Let's hope everything works the way it's supposed to. So I got some awesome news and I got some news. The awesome news is no massaging was required to get this in there. There is plenty of room for that transmission, and even better, it lines up with the markings for my drive shaft. And I went and I took the drive shaft and put it in. It only goes into the transmission about 1/8 of an inch more, which is nothing. That's plenty of travel for the drive shaft, and that is so wonderful. The crummy part is that happened to my cowl. I've straightened it out only a little bit. I need to spend a little bit more time on fixing it, and that's because of this guy, which sucks. I'll just have to adjust where these chains right here go for whenever we pull it back out. And because of how big this motor is and how tight of a fit everything is to get this motor in, I actually had to lift the body of the truck. I only did like a okay-ish lift on it. Whenever I go to remove this guy back out so that we could put the exhaust on and a whole bunch of other stuff, I'm gonna also undo the rear body mounts, and I'm gonna lift the entire cab up as high as I can on some jack stands so that it will make getting this motor in and out so much easier than what it was this time around. And one other thing I need to do is right here, probably can't even see it, but I need to shave a little bit of the stock motor mount so that the new motor mounts will go right into place and drop this guy down about another 1/4 of an inch. But it's in. I mean, look at it. There's a Hemi in my Dakota. Yeah! I am very excited about this, but unfortunately we have to pull it back out. I'm gonna go ahead and do that all off camera. If anybody ever said Hemi don't fit, it fits. Oh, it most definitely fits. Oh, this has me so excited right now. Anyways, guys, I have a whole freaking wiring harness that I have to make up, and we have to go and install some headers, which, hey, header install, next video. And then I'll be mocking up most of the wiring harness on the engine so that I know what needs to go where and how it needs to go. And then we'll more than likely, hopefully, put the engine back into the truck for the last time. We won't have to pull it back out. We finally just bolt it down in place, and then we can start making an exhaust system and doing all the plumbing and whatnot along with the wiring. So stick around for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Stopping by for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.